I have a map, and I'm going to leave this with the society. This is a map showing all of the various settlements that were inhabited at the time that they were there. There's a little key called Sheep Key, this is a little settlement right here, and that's called Sheep Key. Persons also lived there too. No one lived on Little Inagua, which was just about up in here, but they also farmed there as well. Okay? Now, persons are just here in Mosquitoes living. And so it's important because we have lost so much of our history, and we're still losing it as we speak, right? And so unless we document it, it would not be told. Let me put on my glasses and stuff. Okay, life on the island. Life started early in the morning, regardless of your age, right? 5 o'clock in the morning, most households, you can hear the chatter, people calling children from a distance, shouting to each other from yard to yard, across the way, up in the hill, early in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning in Mosquitoes, it's daylight. Sometimes the sun doesn't rise in Nassau until about 6:30, but down nearer in the tropics, the sun rises early. So at 5 o'clock, it's bright. And so 5 o'clock, most times you're up. If we're going in the farm, sometimes 4:30, we're up, regardless of when you went to bed. And sometimes the men, you would hear their voices also joining in with the sound of dogs barking, all indicating that they too all wanted to start some sort of early exercise for the day, be it hunting or going to the farm or going fishing. And then at the end of the day, right, after a hard day's work, because your day was really hard because you had to work before you go to school, and then you had to run all the way to school, and after school, or not even after school, but during lunchtime, you had to go home and you had to do chores, hurry up, eat, and run back to school. And then in the afternoon, you had chores again. There was always chores, right? But it was a way of life, and so we didn't think it was hard, right? But looking back now, you realize that it was really hard. But because you had nothing to compare, you was happy and content, right? And we all somehow learned how to balance work, life, work with fun, and have leisure time in spite of the demands of the day. So in the afternoon or in the night, in the evening, after a hard day's toil, we seize the moment, being appreciative of health and that another day's journey had ended. Many nights we gathered on our walkway to entertain and unwind. There was no television, so adults spoke in low tone among themselves from A to Z. The topics frequently were which child started menstruating, or how old the children were doing in Nassau, right? And they would talk in low tunes, thinking that the little ones didn't hear, but we heard. And then after that, they would start to tell the stories and encourage us to tell stories. And there was no excuse, you had to participate, right? And they would encourage you, they would prompt you and indicate. So you would find even children, as soon as they learned to talk, they were able to tell little stories, right? And that was really entertaining. We did storytelling until the last fall asleep. So the little ones, or some of the adults, they would go sleep, but the storytelling went on until the last person went to sleep. And that was just about every night. Especially when there was full moon and no mosquitoes, because you know Inagua is very notorious with mosquitoes. We have so many sayings. Sometimes we said, we would joke, and I said we, the Naguarans, we would say to the pilot when he's coming in, you can cut off your engine now and let the mosquitoes direct you in, because it would be that much, you know. When there is mosquito time, the idea is to go like this and talk, and the whole island smoky. The flit truck would go around from street to street, and we would go inside the smoke because we wanted the scent on us, so that hopefully we're off the mosquitoes. And so everywhere you go, no, I don't remember persons being allergic to, or having asthma, allergic to smoke or anything, because I guess your system got used to it. Your eyes would run sometimes because the smoke used to be black, and environmental health, you would come around and smoke, and it was very toxic, but we survived it, because sometimes you'll find the birds and the butterflies all on the ground after the smoke truck passed, and persons have smoke in their yard, you have smoke in the homes, you're walking with smoke cans in your hand. That was a norm. It wasn't strange at all to see persons with smoke pots walking about trying to keep the mosquitoes away. How the local economy survived. Back in the day, our parents were very industrious. They were determined to make a living regardless of what they had. When persons were building, other persons would go and gather rock, and the children, sometimes we would roll the rocks, and then they would go take it to the side of the road, and then we'll craft. Adults and children would be crafting rock manually with the chisel and the maul and the hammer and the hatchet, whatever you have, and we'll make beekeeps and sell it to the persons building. Or sometimes they would make coal kiln and lime kiln. Then you had farmers, you had carpenters, you had cobblers and masons, blacksmiths. You had a lot of blacksmith in the day, and you had a lot of iron work. You don't see that anymore. We had persons who even made rope from the sisal. I don't know if Miss Granger, I don't know if you can remember Mr. Sargent. He was one of the most famous rope maker. He would be rolling and making the rope, blocks and blocks. He'd go around from house to house, this long rope, just making this rope and just going from street to street, those little dirt roads, and he'll just be going, because it was easy for him to go in the street rather than around the bush, the trees and stuff, because sometimes it get tangled in the trees, and so he'll go from street to street around the homes and stuff like that, spinning this long yarn of rope. And sometimes we would just watch because it was so fascinating, right? And he would buy the rope by the yard, and he would sell it to you. Sometimes passing ships, when they come in, they would get the rope for the ships as well. So they found things in which they made a couple dollars. Lots of work, and persons who didn't have money, they bartered. You could have exchanged in order to purchase what you want or get what you want. The same thing with education. If you didn't have the money to pay for evening school, then you bartered as well.